We are not off to a very good start. We are 2-5 with the official picks. Now is not the time to panic and jump off the ship. I've seen this too many times before. Sports bettors losing faith and giving up after a losing streak, only to miss out on the upcoming good run. Take the Major League Baseball system plays for example. We were up about 40 units through the month of April, May, June, and July, based on 508 bets. This means that if your average bet is $100, you were up by $4,000. Then, for the first 22 days in August, we lost close to 10 units. But why panic over a bad stretch of 22 days when the systems had shown to work well over the previous 4 months? And I'm not even talking about the previous seasons where it worked very well too. Some bettors gave up and missed out on an astounding comeback. From August 23rd to the 29th, we won a jaw-dropping 14 units, thanks to a 19-6 record, including many big underdogs. I also see some similarities with the stock market. Some people buy shares of a specific company, and what do they do when the price drops over many days or weeks or months? That's right, they sell. And then they curse themselves when the price explodes and they realize that they sold at the very worst possible time. So I guess the message I'm trying to get across is, do you give more weight to the first 2 weeks of this season or to the previous 2 years where I hit 58% of my plays with a 61-44 record? Also, keep in mind, and this is not meant to be an excuse, that my picks in weeks 1 and 2 of every season have historically been weaker, simply because there's not as many betting angles that apply in these 2 weeks. So maybe I should have done the same thing as I did last year, and that was staying away from these 2 weeks all at once. But I decided to go for it and I paid the price. So as of now, we stand with a 2-5 record, but I'm super confident that we're going to make it up through the next 15 weeks in the regular season. Alright, so let's get on the winning track this week. Here are my week number 3 picks in the NFL. My top pick this week goes to the Minnesota Vikings minus 8 points against the Raiders. And this play is rated 4 stars out of 5. The Raiders had a nice start to the 2019 season. They kicked off the season with a 24-16 win over the Broncos, and they grabbed an early 10-0 lead over the Chiefs. The crowd was going crazy, the players were pumped. But then the Raiders completely collapsed by allowing 28 straight points to the Chiefs in a 28-10 loss last week. The Raiders are now headed for their first road game of the year, and they probably don't feel so good about themselves. Their confidence is likely broken. Meanwhile, the Vikings had a horrible start at Lambeau Field last week. They dug themselves into an early 21-0 hole. They fought hard to make it 21-16, but that was it. They could not pull off the comeback. Now, a few bad plays and penalties eventually cost them the game, but they could have easily won it. The Vikings certainly have a chip on their shoulders after such a performance. They will be fired up at home, where they handled a good Falcons team 28-12 a couple of weeks ago. From an injury standpoint, Derek Carr's new go-to guy, Tyrell Williams, is questionable with a hip pointer. If he misses the game, that would be a huge blow to Oakland's offense, who is clearly lacking depth at the wide receiver position. To make matters worse, rookie running back Josh Jacobs is also questionable with a groin injury. He has looked great in the first 2 games of the season. So these two guys might suit up, but even if they do, they are clearly banged up. On the other side, there isn't any major injury in Minnesota's camp. They are mostly healthy. On top of that, you've got a West Coast team playing an early Sunday game, which will feel like 10 a.m. to Raiders players. Now, let me tell you about a lean, which means an unofficial pick. I'm going with the Cowboys laying 21 points against the Dolphins. Here's my reasoning behind this one. Let's say I were to tell you that one of these two teams is going to beat the spread by 14 points. Which team would you bet? In other words, is it more likely that the Cowboys are going to win by 35 points or by a 7-point margin? My own personal answer is 35 points. It's hard to envision Miami losing by just one touchdown. They've been just awful. So far, they have lost their 2 games by an average of 46 points. And these 2 games were played at home, and now they're playing on the road in Dallas. The Dolphins might be fielding the worst roster in the history of the league. And this week, they kept dumping good players by trading cornerback Minkah Fitzpatrick to Pittsburgh. Miami now owns 5 first-round picks over the next 2 drafts, which is great for the future, but very bad for 2019. So in summary, I'm going to take Dallas laying 21 points against Miami. That's it. Let's crush the bookies together this week. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel to receive all of my free picks or my free betting strategies. Thanks a lot. I'll talk to you again very soon.